But that was the other side of the scene.
You're scared now. You're thinking, what has she found?
Terrified. Wow.
Hey, Tony.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Great to see you.
And
welcome
you,
to the Boot Factory at the Artist's Residence.
Looks nice.
Come on in. First things first, before any kind of intro, I feel like we've got to do a bit of a taste. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that was needed.
That is good.
So Tony, thank you so much for being on this episode of CuppaSoul. I'm really excited to have you here. I'm really excited to talk to you. You run events down in Plymouth and you're an old Plymouth boy. You grew up there.
Yep.
You're an old soul boy. You went to Wigan, you went to Yate. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it all started as probably a 14, 15-year-old schoolboy. Always used to hang around with the older guys and they were all into this soul, funk, reggae, and then Northern Soul came through. So I started out digging bands like Earth, Wind and Fire, which I still love, but Northern Soul is my heart, you know. So.
As a young boy, how did Northern Soul impact your personal life?
It was everything, everything. My dad was a second-hand dealer and he used to keep a stack of records. So as soon as I got into the music, when he was out, is there anything in there, anything in there? And the only thing I ever found was You're Ready Now by Frankie Valli. So I borrowed that, but then...
Borrowed?
Yeah. In those days, we had a market that used to have 2 or 3 second-hand record stores.
Right.
And back in those days, it was 10, 50 pence, maybe £1 if you spent £1. But I soon realised that I was picking up rare records as well, like the green and white demos. And later we went to Birmingham Locarno in 1979. Edwin Starr was playing live. There was a proper tight soul community in Plymouth, a good gang of people.
Yeah.
That day in 1979, I sold a lot of records for the first time. And I couldn't believe it. I was buying records for £1, selling them for £10. So
that was when you realised that was your
I'm still doing it now.
Yeah.
I buy records every day. I keep one, I sell one. Can't help it. So it all started there, really. 16-year-old. First coach to Wigan. Tony Reynolds organised. I think it was like a 45 or 50-seater. 6 hours. In we went with our membership cards.
Yeah, you said that you had some membership cards that someone gave you.
A beat-up card with someone's name. Yeah, that's me. In we went. Long queue to get in because they always had live music or something happening prior to us, so we had to wait for them to go.
Yeah.
And then, as your current video shows of everybody scrambling to get in, that was us.
No pushing at the back, please.
Yeah,
no
that was us.
At the back.
And I must admit, the first time I ever went to the casino, I can still remember, I was only 16, went up on the balcony, looked down, vibrating vibrations were playing, Surprise Party for Baby, that's always stuck with me. Just blown away.
Yeah. What do you think it was about you and your mentality that drew you to Northern Soul?
Just loved dancing. I mean, at that time, not many guys danced.
They don't now. They don't now. Not many guys dance now either.
If you went up and danced, and I still remember the first time I saw one of my school friends dance at an under-18 Cisco, I was like, wow, men dance, and I had to learn. So we took over a local youth club. And they used to let us have the back room on a Thursday night. Twin decks, we had our own records. We didn't have to promote anything, it was just for local people. And that's where we honed our dancing skills.
And you would like learn off each other?
Yeah, exactly. And
so would you say that you were quite a good dancer?
I think so at the time.
Funny
now.
Funny you should say that, because I did a little bit of digging on you.
Really?
And I found this photo, which
Never.
I'm going to grab. You're scared now, you're thinking, what has she found?
Terrified. How can you go back that far?
I've been doing a little bit of dark web searching.
Really?
So
it's not an embarrassing one, is it?
So I've got a few photos, and I want you to just talk me through them and tell me a little bit about them. So the first photo I saw was this one.
Wow, that's my brother.
That's your brother, and this is you?
Yeah.
Doing the high flying kick?
Kempo karate.
So was that you practicing for the dance floor, or were you actually a martial artist?
I was a student, but to be honest, this was 1984.
Right.
But I always had flexibility because going back to the dancing, I could do the splits. And most people, when I started in martial arts, used to say, how can you have so much flexibility in your legs? And even up until the time I was 40, I was still doing martial arts. And my left leg, particularly, would go all the way up.
Can you still do some?
No.
So the other photo I saw of you,
I gave up 20 years ago.
which I think was fantastic. Tell me a little bit about this one. Where was that? Right,
that is Birmingham Locarno on the said Sunday afternoon. I can still remember the date because it was 1979, and a guy who's not in that photograph called Noggs Newman had Mod 79 tattooed on his arm.
Wow.
And I went on from that to become a mod, the mod revival.
Right,
So
okay,
Tony Reynolds
yeah.
is the guy, my mentor, who was the DJ in Plymouth and still DJs in Birmingham.
The guy in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Chris Shaw comes to your events. I met him
Yeah?
there in the summer.
No way, is that Chris Shaw?
Yeah. I never thought I'd see him
Wait,
again.
which one? The one in the
The
blue?
blonde one. Yes.
That's Chris.
Yes.
Oh my
And when
God.
I bumped into him in the summer, it was an absolute blessing because I never thought I'd see him again.
Oh.
And since then, he's come to all my monthly events in Plymouth. Dave Collecott passed away, motorcycle
Oh,
accident.
bless.
He was a ladies' man. He was with Viv. Viv's still
Yeah,
around, but off the
yeah.
scene. Richard Romansky, a friend of mine, he was almost a bodyguard, really. He was bigger than everyone. He passed away in his 30s, unfortunately.
Oh.
I think that was Jenny. There was two girls, Jenny, and I forget the other one's name.
When you're in a scene back in the 70s, you never think about what it's going to be in 50 years' time. I mean,
Not at all.
what did you
were living
think?
for the moment.
Yeah, I know. I mean, when you were younger, where did you see Northern Soul going and how closely is that to what it is now?
Well, to be honest, around about 81, obviously the casino closed in 81. Yate went on for a little while, then it went, Dave Thorley went on to Stafford, Top of the World,
Yeah.
which I never got to go to. We attempted what we thought was a Yate reunion
Yeah.
on a bank holiday.
Yeah.
Can't remember the year, but about 81, 82.
Yeah.
Three of us, two of the guys not in that picture, jumped in a car all the way up to Yate. Nothing happening. Asked around the local, "No, there's nothing happening here today." And there was obviously pre-internet days. Somebody in Plymouth just said, "Yeah, there's a reunion." Funny enough, he never went. We went all the way up, and on the way back, worn out car, didn't even get us home. Broke down.
You had to get the tool bag out.
No, my friend called his granddad, he towed us home. But I must admit, I didn't do so many repeat events, whereas some guys would do a Friday somewhere, Saturday somewhere, and an all day on the Sunday. I just started an apprenticeship and I thought, I've got to keep a clear head, I've got to keep this job. And some didn't care, they were wild. I mean,
I know.
the Plymouth crowd were a wild bunch.
So you were quite good at keeping your work life and your personal
Yeah.
life quite
Yeah.
sane.
Yeah.
Because it is very easy to fall into that
Exactly.
chaos, isn't it?
And some friends of mine, I'm not going to mention names, still in touch with one of them in particular, drifted, had a hell of a job getting out of it. But that was the other side of the scene.
It was, yeah. I mean, it does have a very, very dark side, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can remember taking beers into Wigan Casino and we thought, they were warm by the morning. You don't need beer. What do you want beer for?
Yeah, because of course the
no license.
licensing was very different at
It was
Wigan Casino.
bottled cola at the bar, the old American style bottles.
If you could talk to your younger self, what would you say to him?
Don't sell your records. On one of the occasions at the casino, I spent virtually all night going through records and there were thousands of them.
Yeah.
Thousands. And then everyone said, "Where have you been?" I said, "Yeah, but I've got." I'm like,
In the
there was
record box.
nothing in there, nothing at all, because it was just what no one else
Just
wanted.
flicking through.
All the good stuff was done between the DJs.
Going back to the dancing, a lot of people say that Southerners can't dance.
Nonsense. I mean, look at yourself.
It make me blush.
I mean, I love to dance. I can't dance like I used to dance because when we were younger, we used to do the splits, backdrops, spins, hand movements. It's about my limit now. I mean, when I've had a few too many glasses of wine, I do a crazy spin. And I must admit, I can go around a dozen times on the ball of 1 foot, which is how they always used to do it. But when I stop, the world's spinning. Honestly, you're like, you should never drink and spin.
Last question. Describe your music taste without using any of the names of the music genres.
Yeah, tricky. How do I get away with saying modern and crossover?
Smooth.
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, the Sunday soul vibe is what
Yeah.
took me. So the mid-tempo, the beat ballad,
Yeah.
I know they're all genres. So I always, if I'm playing a set, I like to start with something that will build, try and build it up. Never jump from the 60s to 70s without smoothly going through. Get to a point where we get some modern dancers in. Always try and get a couple of oldies in that people know. And then always wind down to a slowish ender.
Well, you certainly did that today, and it has been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on this episode of CuppaSoul.
Thank you.
Tony Treby, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of CuppaSoul.
Can I just say it's Treby? I know it's spelt Treby, but everyone says that.
Everybody, Tony Treby, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of CuppaSoul.
Thank you.